was the evening of March 3rd, 1979. Man, it's hard to believe that was over 3 decades ago. I interviewed the great George Carlin, right over there. It was a place called Painter's Mill Music Fair. 3,300 seats in the round. Not a bad seat in the house. The stage revolved. Man, I saw some cool bands there. Well, it burned down a while back, and they built a wholesale warehouse club in its space. People buying tires today probably have little idea of what happened on that site. But one magical night, 2 weeks after my 19th birthday, I got to sit down with the great George Carlin. He was already considered a comedic genius, and pretty much the coolest guy anybody knew. He'd won Grammys, had gold records. He testified before Congress about freedom of speech, and he changed the way people thought. Nobody's ever heard this tape. It's been sitting in a shoebox in my basement. But today, I'm going to share it with you.
Hey, Jeff.
Jeff Dugan.
Hey, Jeff. We're going to do a little interview, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that.
That's good.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. How you like the crowd?
Good audience. They were rather lively, and together, and they had a lot of rhythm and things.
You like Baltimore?
Sure. You don't notice a lot of differences between large cities.
Mm-hmm.
Really. They're all...
Stand out?
No, the people are just, if they come there liking you already, wanting to see your show, they're pretty much the same everywhere you go.
Yeah.
Without a lot of big differences. Little differences, notice. Not much.
I was wondering about your material. Is it presupposed?
A lot of it's set now, yeah. The ad-libbing and the improvisation, the new things, that comes in the little, you might do the whole bit the same, like dogs and everything. But every night you do it slightly differently. The order's a little bit different, and the emphasis.
Intros and outros.
Not just that, but adjectives you use, things you say, the way you do it. It's very close, but each night you're trying to get a different. You're trying to do it for the first time again. That's the way to do it, is to think of it that way. What I do when I'm telling them is I try to remember the wonderment of my thinking of it the first time when I say it, and then it gives it to them too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like you're just going through lines that you repeat.
What about the first couple of nights on a tour? Is it you pretty much have everything all together?
I work often enough, like going down to Vegas and doing shows there. I do shows down there enough that it keeps me in practice. It keeps me from getting too really rushed out.
Mm-hmm.
It's not too hard to remember. A night or two,
Yeah, I've seen you host the Tonight Show a lot, and I'd like to ask you first, do you like interviewing?
Yeah, it's fun to do that because when I sit down there, I don't know about the other comedians. I see some of them do it a little differently. But what I do there is I don't kind of like sit there and lay for a laugh, and wait for my chance to be clever. I figure that's going to come along anyway. So what I do is I get into the conversation and try to listen to the person,
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, though, you start anticipating what you're going to ask next.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, I feel pretty relaxed there. I like it because I get a chance to do a stand-up, and then I get to sit down and just talk,
Do you ever want to interview, find out about other people?
No, I guess I'm self-centered enough, being a performer. I live in a little world of my own to the extent that I'm not really overly curious about the people that parade past me on the Tonight Show. But there are people who'll come along who'll have an interest that you share some of,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can be earnest and you can talk about something in earnest. But that's the best fun when that happens. Usually, though, you're trying just to accommodate yourself to the format of the show.
Mm-hmm. It must be pretty tough, monologue-wise, using material so it won't be stale.
Yeah, I just do it, and I figure I don't do enough TV so that everybody's going to know every line. And people who like them, some of them come anyway. They want to hear something they've heard before,
Yeah, a lot of
And
people.
as long as there's new little things in it, as long as it's been dressed up since the last time they heard it, they go for that,
Yeah, I noticed that in your show.
Yeah.
Like from the album, the thing. I heard things that are similar, but they were, like you said, dressed up.
They have to grow every night just because they're, you know, they're not chiseled in stone. They're.
Well, you're thinking about it.
Yeah, right. You're saying them different.
Yeah. What's your favorite thing to parody? You have?
I don't think so. No, I just like jacking around and thinking of the offbeat shit. My favorite stuff is the line like, "Did you ever notice you don't get laid much on Thanksgiving?"
That's beautiful.
Or you know, those kind of lines. Complete non sequiturs, things that just come out of left field. Those are my favorite kind.
I was always wondering, like, a lot of your humor comes from, for instance, the grade school I can identify with.
Yeah.
And were you, like, outward in grade school growing up?
Well, that's all on, you know, I've done that part of it a lot. I'm class clown, you know, and then that was what the whole album was about, was being a kid in school who was always trying to get everyone's attention and get the laughs, you know. Sure, yeah.
You look, I know you look at things objectively. Well, I think you do, anyway. Are you politically active?
No, that just seems like a wasted trip. You know, the history is just too long. The history of the planets and the stars is too long for me to get really seriously involved in things that are taking place in the blinking of an eye here, you know, things that last 100 years or so. And it's the easiest way, thanks. It's the easiest way for me to handle the universe, is that I really don't get my head involved in all that. I have prejudices, huh? I don't know that name. Jeff, where do I know you from? I'll see him after, man. Let me wait a bit. I'll finish this thing up. You know what I mean? I mean, I know that it's Wednesday at 12 noon on a given day, but I don't know if I should really worry about that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So instead, I think about what it might be like to live on a planet where the has 2 or 3 moons, or maybe even has a double star that it revolves around, so that you have a double sunset every day. And you know, it just could easily have been that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think about like the Dam Project, you know, and all these things that run through the newspaper. I do watch them as an interested observer. I think it's great reading and entertainment to watch the world stumble by, because we're kind of a cursed planet, you know. So that's my feeling on that. It's an elaborate rationale for not being interested in acting.
Yeah, I see your attitude.
Have that freeze through.
Let me see. I want to sit.
Sure.
Yeah, hold on a second. More.
No, I think I can.
Okay, yeah, because I did a lot of talking there. I want to save some for the second show, you know.
Yeah.
Really, this is counterproductive right now. So let me, you know.
See, was it a struggle for you to get your recognition?
Well, you know, it always just takes time to get your shit together and for people to notice you. So it took me my length, you know, 15 years to really get out front, maybe 5 years to be doing things I was really proud of, 10 years to start making a little ripple, and then 15 years for a lot of people to say, all right.
How much a say do you have in your publicity, your advertising, your
Well,
promotion?
just about everything. I mean, I don't stay on anybody's back, but they know my tone, the people who do that, and they know how to stay in that tone most of the time. And I don't ever, when I see something that's out of that line, I say something. Anything unusual I have to say yes to.
I was still wondering, back to before you national recognition, local recognition. What did you do to pay the bills before you became?
Well, there's a lot of jobs when you're not famous. You know, there's a lot of bars and there's a lot of clubs around that a lot of singers work in and a lot of musicians. You know.
Did you always work to make eats as a comic?
Yeah. I was good even when I was not the best. You know, at it. I'm the best I've ever been now for me. But long before that, I was still good. You know. I guess I must have told you. So, can you let me beg off?
Yeah.
I didn't know that anybody had told me. Nobody told me that I was going to do an interview like that in between these shows. I thought it would be a quick thing.
Oh, well, I'm sorry then.
Yeah.
'Cause I thought you knew.
No.
I was told that you said.
Well, if I had heard that plan, I would have said, well, I'm going to talk for 2 shows. I better not talk in between.
That's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I hope you.
Sure,
I know you
understand your
understand.
voice.
Good. Well, you got some shit there. You can pull it
Yeah, I
out.
can splice some albums. Make it good.
So, Mike, how are you, man?
What's happening after when you're booking out of here?
Well, let's do this off, all right?
Okay.
Well, that's the way it was back in 1979. 2 nights later, he hosted The Tonight Show and did a whole monologue on offbeat political ideas. In 2008, at the age of 71, George Carlin passed away from heart failure.